In today's video, we are taking a look at a brand new release from WeKnife, the Orpheus. That's how I think it is pronounced, at least. And we're not going to take a look at only one of these knives. I actually am bringing 3 of them to the table, to this video review. And I rarely buy 3 of the same model, but there are times when I do, obviously. So what we have here is 2 regular versions and 1 DAMASTEEL version. And DAMASTEEL versions I only get when I really like a model, or when I really think I will like a model, and when the DAMASTEEL version looks aesthetically pleasing. Because sometimes I have issues with the way WeKnife makes their DAMASTEEL versions. They usually go with fat nebula, carbon fiber, etc. and some mismatching of colors. I do not know why they do that. But this time around, they got the aesthetics right. So that is why I decided to pick one up in DAMASTEEL as well. So this is actually one of the models that I've been longing for the most. And I have a feeling that this is going to be my favorite WeKnife release of 2023. And do remember that 2023 has been quite a strong year for WeKnife, with lots of interesting, unique and really, practical and great knives. But let's start by doing a bit of a unboxing of all 3 knives, and then we can dive into the general designs, the specifications, the ERGOS, etc., and then continue with some sharpness tests, and then sum it all up with some final thoughts and conclusions. But let's start with an unboxing of sorts. So we're gonna start with this one. This is, let's see, or I can read myself here. Orpheus Grey Titanium Integral Handle. That's the thing. With aluminum foil carbon fiber inlay, hand rubbed satin CPM 20CV blade, limited edition. Yeah, I did fail to mention that all of these knives are limited editions. 155 pieces of the regular ones, and let's see how many there are of the DAMASTEEL version here. So the DAMASTEEL is limited to 72 pieces. But let's go with this grey version now, shall we? Your typical box, limited edition marking. Let's see if we can get it open. Perhaps. Yeah, there we go. So as always, we get a certificate of authenticity. It looks like this for the grey version. Signed, some specs, etc. Serial number 21 out of 155. So kind of a low number, but I don't really care a whole lot about that. Let's put aside some stickers, some paperwork, piece of cloth, some more, commercial stuff, silica gel, your typical nylon pouch. Let's see, this side, and the knife itself. So this is what this specific version of the Orpheus looks like. Some silver, shining silver look of the aluminum carbon fiber. Flamed pivot collar here, or flame titanium. And of course the integral handle with some milling work to it as well. Snappy action. Let's see if we can get some close up. This hand rubbed satin finish blade. Sweet clip point, swedge grind. Interesting tapered fuller with some holes in it as well. So Orpheus grey version. Let's unbox the other one as well. This is gonna be a good one for sure. Let's take a look at the other one so we can get all these unboxings done. Next up we have this one. Press pause and read, or I can read it for you. So this is the bronze black titanium integral handle with jungle wire fat carbon fiber inlay, black stonewashed CPM 20 CV blade, limited to 155 pieces. Let's see if we can get it opened up here. So for those interested, this is the certificate of authenticity for this specific version, and it's numbered 22. So I got 21 on the other one, 22 on this one. Well, not that it really matters a whole lot. Put this aside. So jungle, fat carbon fiber, bronze and black handle, and black coated blade. This does have quite a nice look to it as well. I mean, I really do like the look of the first one I showed. That was my first pick. And this one I decided to add into the order after I went with the first one. But this looks really stylish in its own, unique way of sorts. I was concerned that the flame titanium pivot color would stand out too much in color, since the rest of the knife goes in darker toned colors and green, but it actually works quite nice the way it is. Let's flip it open. So a black coated blade that goes very well together with the general aesthetics of this knife. Really like the dark green and black with a bronze gold black. Nice color combinations. So let's move on to the DAMASTEEL version. I think I might have saved the best for last in terms of unboxing. Last but definitely not least, we have this version here. This is the bronze black titanium integral handle with Arctic Storm fat carbon fiber inlay Hackapella DAMASTEEL blade, limited edition, 22 pieces. So let's unbox this one as well. Come on. Yeah, so let's see. Certificate of authenticity for this knife. This is number 46 out of 72. Let's move all this stuff away. This is what the limited edition DAMASTEEL Orpheus looks like with Hackapella steel. I will say that the Arctic carbon fiber is a little bit darker than I anticipated, but I will also say that it goes very well together with the overall aesthetics of this model. Let's take a look at the blade, shall we, as well? This is a beauty. And I really do prefer Hakapella to the Heimskringla Damascus that V-Knife typically uses as well. I just think that this is more aesthetically pleasing to the eye, the general pattern here. Difficult with the reflection since the DAMASTEEL is indeed polished. Go for some close-ups perhaps. Yeah, this is a good looking integral DAMASTEEL blade. Very, very nice. Since I do have 3 different Orpheus, I thought we could take a look at the fit and finish and general quality of each one before we delve into the actual specs and ergos. So let's take a first look here at, for example, the centering of the blade. The blade of this one is 100% centered. The aluminum foil carbon fiber has no voids. It's smooth and nice. On both sides it does have a good look to it. The opening action on this one is swift and snappy. The closing action is very smooth. The lockup of this one is, I'd say, around 35%. There is no lock stick or no lock rock for that matter. There is 0 blade play on this one. Everything looks nice. The milling, the grind lines are even. Yeah, I would say that the overall quality of this specific one is very high. Let's take a look at the bronze and black version next. So here is the bronze and black and green jungle fat carbon fiber version. Let's start with the centering on this one. A little bit more difficult to see since the blade is black, but the blade is 100% centered. The carbon fiber has no voids. It is smooth, even, and has a good look to it. And that goes for the pocket clip side as well. Milling seems to be perfect. Let's open the blade up. Once again, very snappy action. Let's take a look at the closing action. It is smooth. Perhaps not as smooth as the one we just took a look at, but it's still very, very smooth. The lockup on this one is, I'd say, around 30%. A little bit less lockup than the one we just looked at. There is no blade play, no lock rock, no lock stick. Overall, my impressions in terms of, just looking at it and feeling it is that the quality is excellent on this specific one as well. Let's proceed to the DAMASTEEL version next. So, the DAMASTEEL version, the one where I definitely do not want to see any marks or irregularities or anything. Well, I want this one to be absolutely perfect, since it is quite a pricey knife as well. Still, I mean, being on the price side, you do get a lot for the money, I would say. Anyways, let's look here at, let's start with the centering as well here. This blade is 100% centered, maybe a little bit difficult to look at or see since the DAMASTEEL pattern is on the spine and it may look strange in some reflections, but it is indeed 100% centered. The Arctic fat carbon fiber is totally without voids, smooth and even. Goes for the backside as well. Perfect coloring, perfect milling. Nothing that I can see that looks off in any way or sense. Really, really good looking knife. The opening action, snappy, just like the other two. Closing action is the smoothest of the bunch, I would say. Very smooth. Lockup on this one is, I would say, around more like almost 50%, like 40 to 50% lockup. See if it's visible. No lock rock, no lock stick. So this one seems to be of excellent quality as well. Did I check for blade play? Zero blade play. Now I think we are done with the first inspection of sorts of each individual knife. And they all pass with straight A's, I would say. Good. Now we can start looking at the actual specs. And I'm gonna use the gray version for that. Time to crunch some numbers among other things. So what we've got here is a titanium integral handle with aluminum foil inlays. And some milling work here. That is not actually super interesting, to be completely honest. The blade steel, as we see on most knives from WeKnife these days, is CPM 20CV. No real surprises here. And speaking some numbers here, so the total length here of this knife is 216 millimeters, so 21.6 centimeters, making it a medium plus size knife, I would say. We've got a blade length here of 88 millimeters, so 8.8 centimeters in blade length. And we got a blade thickness that can actually only be seen at the very top here, because then it goes into a tapering and then it goes into a swedge grind. But 3.2 millimeters in blade thickness. And I mean, we have seen quite a few releases from WeKnife recently, like the Nexusha, the Nefaris, among others, that are very similar in size, especially the blade size. I will say that the handle here is a little bit longer than on the Nexusha and on the Nefaris, but very similar specs altogether, I would say. The close length of this knife is, I believe, 128 millimeters, so 12.8 centimeters in closed length. It is, like I mentioned in the previous segment, a frame lock design. The blade here features a full finger choil. Like I mentioned here, we got this small fuller with some milled holes in it. We got a bit of tapering up here on the spine, and then we got this nice swedge grind. Clip point design of the blade. Seen a few of those recently from WeKnife actually. And the blade finish, like I mentioned on this one before, I think I mentioned at least, it's a hand rubbed satin finish, which is in fact one of my favorite finishes from WeKnife. Pocket clip, not super interesting, but I bet it is going to be quite functional, a little bit aggressive actually, but yeah, it should be working quite nicely. Lanyard hole, for those using lanyards, I do not, but there are people out there who do appreciate a lanyard hole. The clip here, pocket clip, is non-reversible, so right side carry only. What more should I say in terms of specs? Yeah, of course, the weight. I think this one was specified to 121.5 grams or 122 grams. So, I mean, given the size and given that it's in fact an integral, I'd say it is actually perhaps a little bit lighter than I thought it would be. And is there any milling? There is, yeah, well, I mean, it's an integral, I'm not sure how often we see internal milling on an integral knife. Sounds like a bit of a challenge, but there is no internal milling on this knife. It's gonna be super hard to see because it's so dark, but there is no internal milling on the pocket clip side or on the shove side of the knife. Then again, I mean, the entire knife has been milled, or entire handle has been milled out of a single piece of titanium. So I mean, in that sense, there's been quite a lot of internal milling, I would say. See the balance here. The balance point of the knife, I would want it to be around here, right? So pretty well balanced, I would say. I wear size 10 in gloves. Place the knife in my hand, looks like this. Easily a full 4-finger grip. No hot spots. It's actually really comfortable. I'd say that it's of course more comfortable than the Nexusha, because I think that the ERGOS on that one wasn't really great. But I would say that it's more, comfortable perhaps than the Faris as well. Perhaps more comfortable than the Magnetron as well. Using the full finger choil here, placing my thumb up here, it does feel good. I was a little bit worried since they did taper the tang or the spine a little bit here, not a whole lot, but just a little bit. And for the people that watched my Nexusha review video, I don't want the spine to be too thin and too sharp, because utilizing a grip like this makes your thumb hurt when pressing it against the spine. But in this case, it does not. This one feels great in my hand. In terms of reverse grip, feels quite good. Perhaps not as good as the Nefaris in the reverse grip, but it feels, doesn't feel bad at all. But then again, how often do you use a knife in a reverse grip, and for how long periods of time do you actually use a knife in this grip? Not that long, I would reckon. So yeah, I mean, semi well balanced. ERGOS are nice, at least in regular grips. Reverse grip are, well, it actually feels pretty decent. And yeah, the integral handle. I mean, I really am a sucker for integrals. I still think that WeKnife Tyke and the WeKnife 702A, or well, the 702, are two of the nicest integrals out there, especially from WeKnife, I would say. Did I fail to mention anything else about the design? Yeah, this finger groove area here can be, a deal breaker for some people if it's, protruding in the wrong way, or if it's, feels sharp in any way. But on this knife, it feels, at least in my hand, it feels really, natural and smooth. Quite nice. Steel lock bar insert. I rarely mention that because it's included on pretty much all WeKnife releases that I know of, at least. So I think that's it for the specs and for the ERGOS. Let's test the blade sharpness out next. Next up, we're gonna do a bit of sharpness testing, trying out the factory edges of the 3 different knives. And I mean, even though the knives look great and they feel great, but a knife that does not have a great edge is not going to be a great knife. I mean, some people can always put their own edges on a knife, but I mean, when you buy an expensive knife that should be a high quality knife, you will want it to have a good edge from the factory. And WeKnife has been doing a great job with their factory edges recently, and I hope they keep it up with the Orpheus. So let's start by doing some slicing of printing paper, and then we move on to the thinner newspaper. So let's start with the gray titanium version here. Okay, so this one is super smooth, like incredibly smooth. Wow, so a pure joy to use this one. Perhaps one of my sharper ones from WeKnife so far. Yeah, really nice high level of sharpness. Let's try the bronze and black version out here. Hopefully it will perform on the same level, but we'll just have to see. So this one is also sharp, but I'm not sure if you can hear it, but I can feel that it's not, it's not really the same level of sharpness as the one we just tried. But obviously a very sharp knife as well. So it seems like you will always get a sharp knife from WeKnife. It's just that the level of sharpness can be a little bit different. I sometimes wonder if if the coating matters. I mean, it's like hand rubbed or coated or satin, but I doubt it. In terms of the actual edge. But yeah, I mean, this one is also a sharp knife, good level of sharpness, just not as smooth as the first one. Let's continue with the DAMASTEEL version. Yeah, this one is sharper. Perhaps not totally on par with the first one, but sharper than the bronze and black version. I mean, obviously it will slice printing paper without much trouble at all. Yeah, so I mean, making confetti out of printing paper is easy with these knives, but the sharpness of this one in particular was incredible. So smooth. Yeah. Let's try the newspaper next. So, newspaper next, we're gonna go in the same order, starting with the grey titanium version first. Yeah. Man, this is almost therapeutic, it's like mindfulness in some sense. Yeah, such a nice performance. Let's proceed with the bronze and black version. So this one will obviously also cut newspaper, but it does feel a little bit, well, I'm not sure if rough is really the right word, but because it is doing a nice job slicing the newspaper, but it just doesn't have, you know, really the same smooth feel to it as this one. But they both will slice newspaper. Let's proceed to the DAMASTEEL version next here. I think the sharpness here of the DAMASTEEL version is, you know, in between the two other knives. Yeah. I mean, they will all slice paper nicely. But the first one is sort of in a league of its own. So, newspaper confetti, easy peasy. Let's proceed with some final thoughts and conclusions about the WE knife Orpheus. So, in this video we have taken a look at the WE knife Orpheus, limited edition, one of the latest releases from WE knife, and also one of my most anticipated models in quite a bit. I have shown 3 different versions in this video, and that is because I knew I was going to enjoy this design, and I had a feeling that most of these would sell out fast. I'm not sure if they have already sold out when I am making this video, but I didn't feel like, you know, taking any chances. This was one of those models that I had to go with from the get-go, and I'm kind of debating if I should have gone with the other 2 available versions as well to have the complete set, but I'm not sure I can fully justify it, to be completely honest. But know this, that the WE knife Orpheus is, in my opinion, the best WE knife release of 2023. And this is the year where we have seen the Cepheus, the Exiton, the Nefaris, the Magnetron, the Cybernetic, Nexusia, etc. I mean, it's been a year, it's been WE knife's year, I feel like, you know. For a long time I thought that we would never see any more interesting knives from WE knife. And then they released the Cepheus, and then it just continued. They just kept pushing out interesting knives, with this being like the grand finale for me. There are still knives being released like the Igneo, the Speedliner, some other versions and knives that I can't remember. And the WE knife Solid was released not long ago as well. Very interesting and complex integral design, but it just wasn't for me. But the WE knife Orpheus, this one is for me. It has everything that I want in a knife. And I mean, I am a sucker for integrals in general. Sure, I feel like the milling here on the spine of the integral handle could have been more interesting than, you know, just some random holes and lines. But it doesn't really matter that much, because everything else is just speaking directly to my heart. This is a really good looking design, and well, the DAMASTEEL version is of course perhaps this time around the best looking version. But even if we put this one aside for now and focus on, let's say, the aluminum foil version here, it is a really nice looking knife. They are matching the colors correctly. I like the blade seal, I like the blade shape, I like the clip point design with the swedge here. I even like the tapered tang, despite, you know, usually wanting the full thickness here on the top of the spine. There are no sharp edges. I like the tapered fuller here as well. I like the fully functioning finger choil. I like the ERGOS. The balance of the knife It's a well-balanced knife, especially for an integral as well. Great in my hand. Reverse grip is, well, I mean, it may not be, but it is actually, I'm not gonna say it's perfect, but it is actually fully, fully comfortable in a reverse grip as well. Not that I'm ever gonna really use it in a reverse grip, but this is a knife that has it all, in my opinion. The looks, the aesthetics, the practicality, and not to mention the actual sharpness of the knife. This one in particular is extremely sharp. The other two are also sharp knives. I doubt that WeKnife can put out a non-sharp knife. You will always get a sharp knife, but sometimes you get that extra level of sharpness, which is just incredible, which makes slicing whatever you're slicing more into a mindfulness activity than a practical chore of sorts. I know that I haven't done any comparisons in this video with, for example, the Nefaris and Nexusha, and maybe I should have added that, or I will make a separate video. But if you've been on the fence about the Orpheus, well, I think you should better pick one up now when you have the chance. This one, the regular versions are limited to 155 pieces each. That's not a whole lot of knives. And the DAMASTEEL in particular, limited to 72 versions, which is definitely not a lot. Interestingly enough, the DAMASTEEL versions are usually the versions that are left in stock. I guess the pricing is of course part of that reason. And speaking of price, I think this one is priced... I don't remember the price on top of my head now. But it is a bit more expensive than most other WeKnife models. And well, that is partly because of it being an integral, of course. But I think that it is fairly priced. I think the MSRP or something like that is probably around 400 something dollars. In euro it may be a bit more, especially if you live in Europe like I do. But I think it is a very fair price, even for the DAMASTEEL version as well, because you get a lot of knife, a lot of intricate milling, nice details, excellent fit and finish. I think you get a lot of stuff for the money. Regardless of which version you decide to pick up and go with, you will get a really high quality knife. I'm starting to think that maybe I should have gone with one less Nefaris and one extra Orpheus. That is how much I like this knife. It is like it was made for me. I can't really think of things to improve here right now. I am thinking hard, but really I don't know what I could improve on this design. I don't think I can come up with anything really. From an aesthetical perspective, would I have liked the flipper tab to be not protruding out here? Would it have made the knife look better? Perhaps. But do I care about it? No, I do not. So, a really fantastic medium plus sized knife. Great opening and closing action. Super smooth. I think there's not one thing that I do not like with the Orpheus. And I rarely say that about knives that I review, but this one to me is more or less perfect. I know a lot of knife YouTubers tend to write in the title of the reviews like, this is the best one so far, and oh, don't miss out, and they're taking it to the next level, etc. I rarely put those kind of titles, or well, I never put those kind of titles on my videos. I'm not going to do it on this video either. But I mean, I really I love the Magnetron, I love the Nefaris, but this knife tops them all. The Orpheus is one of those knives that is amazing in every sense of the word. And that is high praise coming from me. You will not hear me say that often in my videos. But this knife, this is a terrific knife. That is like my complete final thoughts and conclusions. Definitely in my top 10, top 5 out of all knives I've gotten this year, perhaps. I have to think a little bit because I've gotten a ton of knives this year, even though I haven't made videos about them all. But this is probably my top 5 out of all knife brands, and be it fixed blades or folders. This is a winner, the Orpheus. Do check it out.